at that point in time, because I was so depressed, I used to develop. I had developed suicidal thoughts, and I thought that this is the end. It used to make me so depressed that I don't have control over lives, and I'm stuck in the situation when I can change. And then I thought that, okay, that's it. I don't want to live anymore in this sort of a life where I can't control anything. It came to realization that it's not the life that I want to end. It's the pain that I'm trying to run away from. It's the pain of my thoughts that making me depressed. It occurred to me at that time that maybe I have a control over my life and I can change it. And then when I had this realization, I started to look for, the ways that, what are the ways I can take control of my life?
Ambreen Nadeem is today's guest, and she is the founder of Psychology Talks, which is her company, but it's also a podcast. She is also the author of a great book called The Algorithm of Life, which we're going to be talking about and putting in the show notes. She's going to be talking about what is the algorithm of life. But Ambreen's also going to be talking about her own struggles, so actually how she was depressed when she was 16, had suicidal tendencies, and how actually looking at a stream of ants changed her perception on a lot of things. And we're also going to be talking about the concept of free will. Do we have free will, or is everything controlled by some type of higher power? And there's going to be some great tactical takeaways about how can we get into the gamma state, how can we face our fears. So I think you're going to enjoy today's show. All right, Ambreen. So yeah, I think we're going to have a great show today based on some of the things I've read about you, some of the articles you've read. But I wanted to start. So I saw this quote kind of related to your book that you have actually on your banner on social media, which is free will remains an illusion of control unless you understand the algorithm of your life. So I thought we could start maybe with your own personal experience. So how did you come to this conclusion around, one, the illusion of control, and two, like, unless you understand the algorithm of your life? How did you come to this conclusion?
Okay. First of all, thank you so much for having me here on this podcast of yours. And it's really an honor to be here and to share my experience. So now let's come to your question. It was a long journey, of course, when I need to go back at least 20 years ago. And it was basically, it all started that I used to read palms. And, when I love to read palms of the people and, of course, predict their future. And that thing used to bother me a lot, that why it happens the same way as I predict, or why it happens the way it is written in our palm. So this question used to come in my mind, that do we even have a control of our lives, or it's just that we are born with certain fate or destiny, and then we are just following the same destiny that is given to us by divine decree or some divine forces. So I used to think a lot, and that used to actually made me depressed, that, when I used to think that, okay, it's everything is written in the palm and I can't change anything in my life. Then I started reading a lot of different books on philosophy, psychology, quantum physics, and try to find out the answer, that do we really have control of our destiny, or do we have, are we just following what is given to us? And most of the philosophers, as you know, or even if you read the literature of physics, neurosciences, they actually lead you to believe that it's actually written in the destiny and we don't have a control of our lives. But I don't take it as an answer, because I feel that we are accountable for our action, and we are not just pawns, or we are not just a puppet in the hand of destiny. So I used to think a lot. I used to read books, and finally I actually came up to this conclusion. And how I came to the conclusion, I'll also let you know, because then again, I need to go back to my sort of teens when I was struggling with these depressive thoughts, because first of all, I knew that when I was reading palms, so I thought that I didn't have control over my destiny. Then at that point in time, what was the major setback? What I was facing was that my father lost a job at that point in time, and we were facing some financial problems. And then at that point, I thought that, I might be there forever in this kind of crisis, financial crisis, and I will never come out from that situation. And at that point in time, because I was so depressed, I used to develop, I had developed suicidal thoughts, and I thought that, this is the end. It used to make me so depressed that I don't have control over lives, and I'm stuck in the situation where I can change. And then I thought that, okay, that's it. I don't want to live anymore in this sort of a life where I can't control anything. And when I decided that, to end my life, I tried to look for some easy way out, because I thought that, I don't want to commit suicide with some very difficult or very painful method. I was trying to look for some method which would be very easy to die, or maybe which would give me least pain. And in that conversation in my mind, when I was trying to look for some ways, it came to realization that it's not the life that I want to end. It's the pain that I'm trying to run away from. It's the pain of my thoughts that making me depressed. It occurred to me at that time that maybe I have a control over my life and I can change it. And then when I had this realization, I started to look for, the ways that, what are the ways I can take control of my life. Well, I was having that conversation. Interestingly, I saw that, there was a trail of ants going, from like when I was sitting, there. And they were like, I saw that they were going in straight line and they were following their leader, and they were carrying so much heavy load. You can imagine the ant is so small and they're carrying the heavy load, trying to prepare for their winter season where they can survive. And they're just following they're following the track. And then what I did was that, I tried to block their way. And they didn't give up. They changed the path. They didn't give up to, they were carrying so heavy load. And that actually, again, gave me, because I was having so much, like I was deep in my thoughts. I was trying to figure out what could be done, and I said like, okay, I think there is a way out. It's not something that, it's the end of my life. It's something that I'm trying to run away from the thoughts that were making me miserable. That was the pain I was really having, not the pain from the circumstances. It was, and then I tried to look for some solution that maybe that I have, and that was the beginning that I was trying to find out that what is in my thought. Okay. And then at that point in time, when I actually changed my thinking, when I try to find the solution that yes, there is, and it seems that, when you change your thinking, it may sound cliche that when you change your thinking, you start to the things start to change itself. And the same happened to me. As such, the same thing that used to make me feel depressed, the same thing seems like a solution, like an opportunity to work towards betterment, to improvement. So that's how it began, and that's how I started. And then then I started reading, of course, all these genre, like these philosophy and neurosciences and something. And then I just realized that the only thing that we have in a control is our thoughts. But it's not, of course, you find it in a lot of literature, in philosophical books, that, the only thing is in your control is your thoughts. But how it actually affects, it's a completely different thing, right? And how it affects is that like thoughts are basically a form of energy, right? A thought is produced or is created when there is some neurotransmitters going on, creates some chemical reaction, creates some energy, and then it happens in your brain. It is all energy, and that energy makes you think about anything, right?
Okay. So sorry, let's take a step back here. So, because I think there's a lot to break down on what you said. It actually got me thinking of one of my favorite TV series ever is called True Detective, and Matthew McConaughey in that series, he plays a detective. And for me, his character was very interesting because I think with nihilism, which is essentially thinking life is meaningless, I always thought of nihilism as in almost like an atheist type thing of like, there's no God, so life is meaningless. But his was almost like there is a God, but God controls everything. So life is pointless, right? Because we don't have free will, which is kind of like what you were talking about from a young age. And then, as you said, you were depressed, you were having these suicidal thoughts, and then you saw this stream of ants and it kind of like changed you. So why do you think that was? Why do you think it was a stream of ants that made you kind of change your perception of reality?
Yeah, that's a very good question, because that's what I just said, that I like, ants are so insignificant, so small, yet they are following what they actually, I thought that they are following the way it should be, right? They're following the leader that in the same way. But what I did was, like, I blocked their way. So they could not see their leader, right? They could not see follow the path that was given to them, right? They changed their path. They may actually, have the same goal, right? Everybody has the same goal, to find happiness, to find peace. But the thing is that you need to have different ways to approach to it, right? So that is exactly was the main realization when I actually block their way. And they did not give up. They did not just stop there. They changed their path. So that was the main, it's the way I've written in my book, Algorithm of Life. And that's exactly it is, that these are the algorithms of the universe that we need to understand. And once we understand, then we would be able to change or to work it as per our desire or as per our wish.
So you started talking a little bit earlier around like thoughts have energy, right? And I think everyone, and I think we have more thoughts potentially than we've ever had before because of social media and all these distractions we have. And obviously it's natural. Sometimes we have negative thoughts. I'm so stressed with work. I'm stressed with my family. We all go through suffering in our lives. So how do you go about changing your thoughts, or is it more accepting your thoughts? How do we deal with this energy of thoughts? How do we go about it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question again. It's basically, this is how basically we are designed to have negative thoughts first. And why is that? Because our mechanism is made in a way to protect our survival, right? So whenever we try to go, or whenever we see any threatening situation, or maybe just an unknown situation, what our mind does is to create these negative thoughts in a way to protect our well-being, right? Because that's the main work of our brain, to protect our well-being, to protect our energies. So whenever you're trying to start something new, you do get excited, but you get a lot of negative thoughts, right? It is your brain protecting you. Or it is the main mechanism of the brain. But in order to achieve your goal, or to have that courage, you need to accept these negative thoughts, that these are the thoughts from your mind. It is meant to prepare you to face the unknown situation or the challenge. It is not meant to hold you back or to stop you, right? Of course, if you want to go and go on the edge of the tall skyscraper and try to jump from it, so your mind will tell you not to do that, right? And that's exactly what it is meant to protect, or what it is meant to work for you. That your mind will stop you from jumping from the skyscraper without uh, any protection or something. And this is exactly, you need to understand that your mind is telling you that you need to take some precaution, some measure to protect your well-being. It is not meant to stop you. And that's exactly how, when you understand this phenomena, you know that, these negative thoughts are meant to prepare you to face a danger. And that's how you change your perception towards dealing the negative thoughts. So whenever like you got some, for example, if you have the interview and you feel a job interview next week or something, and you feel so shy, they said like, oh, I can't do this, I don't have the proper expression, or I will fail, or you feel so much nervousness. So what do you do with that? Don't just go into the flow of these negative thoughts. So, okay, you just accept them first, and then you say, okay, this is okay. You accept that you would feel nervous, you would feel shy, you would not have a good expression, but how you can counter that? So how you can counter that is to prepare well. The more you would be prepared, the more you'd feel confident. So whenever you have the negative thoughts, you need to counter it and not to resist, just to find out that, okay, this is your mind is preparing you from the danger. Let's find the solution and how to counter that. And that is how you change your negative thoughts into the positive ones.
Yeah, I really like what you said around it being natural, especially if you're trying something new. Obviously, you're going to have fear, anxiety about something that's going to go wrong because it's new. And I like what you said. It's like not resisting the thoughts, right? It's like, I guess, is acceptance. Would you say that's the word? Or
yes, absolutely. Because, the more you resist, the more it will persist. Because whenever you're trying to say, no, I don't want to think about the anxiety, and it's not going to work. You will feel more anxiety. You will feel more anxious. Our mind doesn't accept the negative. You say that the word no. For example, if I ask you right now to not to think of a white elephant, right? I'm sure the first thought you would have gotten is the white elephant in your mind. I'm sure you might not have seen the white elephant in your entire life, yet you will get the white elephant in your mind. So when you say, no, don't do this, your mind doesn't accept it, So when you try to resist these thoughts, it's like, oh, I don't want to think about it. It's not going to happen. Even it will actually make it worse. You will be more anxious. So first thing is accept it as it is. Okay. You said, okay, it's coming. If your mind is saying that you're feeling nervous, you're shy, that's okay. You said, okay, I'm shy, I'm nervous. I'm unable to do that, but don't accept it as your reality that you are not going to be nervous forever, right? You need to do something to become more confident. And when you counter these thoughts with positive action, you would feel more excited that, okay, yes, I'm not gonna be nervous for for the rest of my life. I will do something to be more confident, to become more successful, or to achieve my goals. So that's how you need to approach the negative thinking.
Yeah, I like what you said around if you resist too much, it will persist. I wanted to come on to this book you created around like the algorithm of life, because it's something a terminology I've not heard before, the algorithm of life. So what is the algorithm of life?
Yeah, actually, that's thank you for asking me this question, because this is the book that, as I mentioned, that I had decided to write about 20 years ago when I was having that sort of conversation in my mind. What I feel is that the entire world, the entire universe is governed by these algorithms, right? And how it occurred to me, right? First of all, as you know, that when I used to read palms, these were the lines that I used to read and see that, okay, this is going to happen. So what I feel is that all these fates, the destiny, or the roles are already written, right? Here I would share, I will quote Shakespeare. as he said in As You Like It, that this world is a stage and we are all the characters. We come into this world, play our role, and exit. And that's exactly how I got the idea that, this world is entirely, everything is actually written. As I mentioned that, when I used to read palms, there was like entire destiny of the person written. But we have choice to choose that particular role, that do we want to be a hero, or do we want to become a loser, or do we want to become a villain or something, right? So the entire story is written, everything is there, it's gonna happen the same way it is happening, right? Even this conversation is meant to happen the same way exactly, but our souls, or we decide to be in this role, to witness this role, because that's what we have chosen for us, right? And why am I saying that, and how it is going to happen is like, this, as I mentioned, this world is governed by the physical laws. Like, for example, if you put your finger in fire, you're gonna feel the warmth. Your finger will burn, right? Because of all the chemical reactions, all the whatever is gonna happen. You will feel that way. So everything like in this physical world is gonna happen the same way. So the only thing that is not governed by the physical laws is our soul, right? And soul is the energy. And that's when I said in the beginning that, our thoughts are energy also. So our soul has the power to create or to choose thoughts, because this is the only energy, the form of energy that we have in our body. Of course, whatever we consume, we we eat, we produce energy, and we consume everything. But thoughts are the only thing that has the power to create or to bring change in physiology, like the neuroplasticity. When, for example, if you keep thinking about something, these neurons create the neural path in your brain. So, for example, if you have the negative thoughts, it is creating that path in your brain. So it creates the neuroplasticity. It is called neuroplasticity. So it is creating the neural path. It is changing the physiology of the brain. And the quantum physics also said that only thoughts has the power to change the environment and surrounding. And how it happens is through the quantum entanglement. Because again, it is the energy. When you have certain thoughts, there is some chemical reaction goes on in your brain. It creates energy, and that energy creates certain frequency, certain vibration in your brain, and that frequency makes you in some consciousness. And you can, I also written in my book about the different level of consciousness, and the best level is the gamma level of the consciousness, where your brain works at the peak. Okay, so you can achieve the peak performance when you are in the gamma level. So, and that you can achieve only through your thoughts, right? So this is how it happens, that when you achieve that consciousness level, you are in certain state where you can actually attract those events that you want, right? Yeah. And that is again linked with your purpose and with your desire. Like if you have realized your purpose, that purpose will give you the burning desire to follow. And that burning desire is linked with the emotions. So, the emotions, like when the thoughts become charged with emotion, it becomes like supercharged or something. And that gives them the energy. And if you keep on repetitively thinking about that, this is what you want to achieve, this is what you are trying, what you're doing is you're giving the signal to the universe, and then universe will, and that's how I've also did that, how the intuition works, the subconscious mind works, the intuition will bring those events in your life, and you start meeting people miraculously. How many times, I have seen that when when I decided to do something, or I seen that when people decided to do something different, they miraculously meet people from the different walks of life. And then they see that, okay, I was just thinking about it. And then, you meet someone and they said, okay, this is, and that's how they guide you to achieve role.
Yeah.
And that's what exactly is the algorithm of life, I would say.
Yeah, I think a lot of what you're talking about, people would say is like law of attraction. And I like what you were talking about with the gamma rays. I know Joe Dispenza talks a lot about that, like the wavelengths. But how do you, so anyone that's listening, I recommend kind of looking into gamma. But say someone's listening to this podcast, they've got some like goals they've set themselves. I know you said you've had like 20-year goals, but they've set these goals. I want to be a musician, I want to be an entrepreneur, I want to strengthen my faith, whatever it is. How can they tap into more of that like gamma state? What are some of the things you can do to get into that state of mind?
Yeah, first of all, there are lots of meditation, breathing exercises. The first thing is that, you need to quiet the mental chatter that you have. For example, there is a lot of noise these days, as like before this podcast, we were just discussing that you took the vacation, and so this is so important to actually denoise ourselves, break that clutter, and connect with yourself first, right? Because unless we don't know who we are, we won't be able to find our purpose. We won't be able to have that burning desire. And what is happening these days, it's so sad to see that a lot of people are following something which they don't even like. It's just because the society has given them this goal to study, to go to the college, to get the job, and then earn, and then that's how it is. They are running on the autopilot mode. They don't know what they want. Maybe they're doing something which they don't like. And even and you must have seen also that there are a lot of successful people who are not satisfied, and they even when they are reaching the peak of the career, they commit suicide because there's something, they're following something which is not their purpose, which is not something they really want. Whereas if you see some people who have realized the purpose, for example, Viktor Frankl, who has survived Holocaust just because he knew that he had a purpose to write that book, and he survived. He said that he wanted to live only to share the experience, and that purpose gave him a reason to live, a reason to look for another day. So unless you are doing something for pursuing the purpose, you wouldn't feel the real fulfillment, the real content. So you realize this. First of all, to your question, come out from that noise, connect with yourself, do meditation, breathing exercise, and that's the way you will be able to achieve that gamma conscious.
Awesome. Yeah, no, it's what was the resource you said around like the guy who was
Viktor
in the
Frankl.
Holocaust?
Viktor Frankl. He was a psychologist and he was a great personality. I just forgot the name of his book, but it's one of the reasons that somehow when I read his book, it was Finding Your Why or something. I think that's Simon Sinek book. There's something. The Viktor Frankl has the same kind of book. I forgot just the name, but he was amazing. Literally.
So did he? Yeah, just to confirm then. So was he like in a concentration camp, but because he was focused on his higher purpose, that was always getting him through that tough time?
Absolutely. And it was one of the just being in that concentration camp, it's a nightmare itself. And but he survived that just because that he had this purpose. He said that, okay, I knew that I want to pass this time, and I feel that when you have the purpose, it gives you a hope to live, it gives you a meaning, right? So that's very important. And that meaning, when you find that meaning, it's not something that I would say that it will come overnight. Okay, like as you can say, like people are saying that find your purpose, find your purpose. You give yourself a time. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't like you will go last night and then in the morning you will find out, oh my God, this is my purpose. It doesn't happen like that. You need to connect with yourself. You need to have that. And when you find your purpose, you will just feel kind of a peace that, okay, this is something that I want to do. And here also, I would also like to point out that it's not, a lot of people say that purpose is about, or maybe the passion is about finding your interest in certain field like computer sciences, or it doesn't work like that. It's basically what you are good at giving. Like, for example, if you're good at, let's say, helping people, right? Then start helping people. If you are good at like musician or music or drawing or painting or something, it's not something like, or just expression, right? It may you start expressing yourself to help people where the other people can relate, right? So this is how it is, that like when people ask me that how they can find their purpose, so I just tell them that what you're good at giving to others, when you realize that thing, that is exactly, you will find your purpose. It's not something that what you will get when you go into a certain field or something.
Yeah, I like that. It's about what you can give. So on that note, actually, because I was thinking about your purpose, right? So you were talking around how when you were younger, you had issues with depression. You had the story with the ants. And I was thinking around how obviously nowadays you've got this podcast, Psychology Talks, and you're also like interested in spirituality. And I was thinking those two things of like your purpose related to that. Would you say that those dark moments, they almost defined your purpose because you went through struggles yourself, you were looking into yourself, and then you thought, how can I help others in a similar situation? Was that like a bit of the journey you went on?
Yes, absolutely, because that was the time, and I often say that, you know, these darkest moments actually are usually the ones who are the most enlightening one, when actually you find the true purpose of your life. Because at that time when I realized that this was all in my thoughts, and then how I can change my thoughts. At that point in time, I just set a mission for myself, or that, you know, I need to help people. And I want to, you know, help people that how they can deal with their thoughts and how they can actually come out from that depression or something. And that's why I've been doing all these work, like podcast, my articles, my blogs, my live shows, and to save people. And that's what I created a platform also called Save Lives Project with 2 other partners, where I am trying to create awareness about the mental health and to prevent suicide, because this thing is very close to my heart, that, you know, need to like, it actually breaks my heart whenever I see that someone commits suicide or someone ends their life, because I know that they can do much better in their life. It's not the end. They need a little help, and we need to create that awareness. We need to reach out to them so we may save the life. So that's how we created that platform, and we've been helping people a lot, and we're creating awareness about mental health.
Just I wanted to come to something here, which I think is related to mental health, because like you said earlier, we're all going to face fear as an emotion in our lives, right?
Yeah.
And you wrote something which I really liked, which is facing fears directly without knowing how to tackle them is not an act of courage, it is foolishness. And you talk about, you know, facing your fears gradually, step by step. So I guess both with yourself, like when you've been scared in your life, and with, you know, your patients, how do you go about this? How do you go about facing your fears if there's something that's really scaring you in your life?
Yes, that's very important, actually. You know, this is I really don't like the idea of facing the fear. Just go and face it. It's gonna do worse. As I gave you the example in the beginning, that if you go on the skyscraper and just jump off just because you think that you need to face the fear with courage, it's not courage, right? And it's, as I told you, that these negative thinking that comes in your mind is meant to protect your well-being, right? So we need to face it. We need to, of course, we need to realize that these fears are generated in our mind to protect our well-being. And how we can do it, we need to make a strategy. We need to find out that what are the ways we can do it. For example, if someone has some past trauma, let's say about a lot of people have phobias like height phobia, water phobia, whatever. They just don't go to the height and jump, or they just don't go into the water to just face the fear with courage. It doesn't happen. It's gonna make it worse, because this is going to create more anxiety, more trauma, and it will add to their belief that, see, that this is not going to work. And they will create more repulsion from that particular event or whatever. So the best thing is to do some research about it, right? To find out what exactly. The first thing is you need to accept, okay, this is the fear, and the fear is there to prepare you for something bigger, right? Even if, for example, if someone feels shy from public speaking, they need to find out that what are the ways they can overcome the shyness to speak in public. And they need to start slowly and gradually. They don't go and start take a loudspeaker and go in the park and start doing something like that. It doesn't work. Start speaking with maybe like 2 to 3 people, then gradually moves on, and then you have to start talking in groups, and then with the larger groups, and that's how it is. You gain confidence, because that's how our mind works. You feel confidence when you achieve success, because if you keep on failing on something, you're gonna end up having more miserable situation. You will say that, okay, you say, your mind would say, see, it's not gonna work. You are a loser because you are doing this. So you need to trick your mind that you come into success. Like, you take baby step and try to prove yourself there. And once you have some small success, that will give you confidence. And then you start building that confidence level. So courage you will achieve, but it requires a kind of a proper strategy. If you can't do it on your own, seek help. That's the best way. Yeah. Because I've seen a lot of time people are so much ashamed in seeking help for simple things. Like, if, for example, if someone is, let's say, is shy in speaking public, they need to go and ask people and what worked for them, how they overcame their shyness. Yeah. So I think the best way is to seek help for if they cannot do it on their own.
Yeah, 100%. I even think, so actually my job, I do sales training, and when I work with salespeople, sometimes they struggle from mental health a lot. I think one of the biggest professions, because it's very stressful with targets, etc. And I think often they don't reach out to their team, to their managers, to people around them. They kind of suffer alone. So reaching out for help is important. But I wanted to come on to, I know you're promoting at the moment, like mental health awareness, kind of a campaign for the whole of May. And as you said earlier, you're very passionate about suicide prevention, helping people who are in your situation when you were younger. So what was the aim of this campaign you're doing at the moment?
Yeah, I've just created this campaign because May is the month of mental health awareness. So I created this campaign like through Save Lives Project, that you are not alone. It's the main goal of this campaign is to bring people like who are mental health advocates, who are thought leaders, who are willing to help people, and those who are suffering in silence. So, you were creating a bridge. So those who are helping people, we are giving them platform. We are just pushing them to create content, to share their advice. And the ones, and at the same time, this campaign is meant for the people who are suffering in silence, who think that there is no one for them, who think that, the life is going to end. So this is the message for them also, that they are not alone. They just need to reach out. There are a lot of people out there who are willing to help them out. It's just that they need to go and find a solution, and they will see that their life will transform.
Amazing. And I wanted to ask a final question, which I think goes into this, which is, so we kind of gone through your journey, 16 being kind of down and depressed, now, having written a book, creating loads of great content, being a bit of a thought leader around psychology and spirituality. You today, what advice would you give to your younger self when you were 16?
Yeah, the one advice I would give is that never lose hope. There are good times ahead. Everything ends when you lose hope. It's something like, there could be darker days, there could be challenges, there could be obstacles. But when you see the hope that you can do something, or these challenges can be overcome, these obstacles are just there, and you just need to take one step forward to solve these problems or these blockages. It can happen. And because at first everything seems impossible. And if anyone, we could not have seen all these inventions now, because at one point in time, all these innovations and inventions it seems impossible. And some people might actually discourage you that you can't do that. But you need to believe in yourself that you can do it, because no one knows you. No one knows your desire. No one knows your capabilities. Only you know yourself. So have hope that you can overcome this, and have a belief in yourself that you can do it. So that's you can say 2 advice or just 1 advice. Just have hope and believe in yourself.
Yeah, I think that's great advice to finish the show. And I just wanted to ask, we'll put a link to your LinkedIn, to your book. Are there any other resources or anything else you wanted to put in the show notes?
It's basically, my book is available on Amazon, so anyone is interested to purchase it, or so they can go on the Amazon. The Algorithm of Life is there, and I'm very active on LinkedIn. If anybody wants to get in touch with me, you can send a message to me. I'm also active on Insta and Twitter, but not as active as LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So anybody who wants to reach out to me, they can reach out from social media.
Well, thanks a lot for coming on and sharing your story. It's been really interesting.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Wow, super interesting show today with Ambreen. Some great takeaways. I'm going to just stick with one, which is around facing fears. I really like what she said, and I think it's different advice to what you get from a lot of these influencers, motivators. Oh, just tackle it head on, just face your fears. And obviously it's not that simple. It's like, fears can be useful. Like she was talking about, if you're going to jump off a bridge, you're scared of doing it, right? Because you're conscious is trying to save your life. But what she's talking about with some of these fears that aren't as useful to you in your life, break them down. You don't have to tackle them totally head on. Break them down into small pieces. Look for advice, right? Let's imagine, like she said, you're scared of public speaking. Try and speak to one person, practice your speech, and speak to 10, then speak to 100. You do it in stages. If you're scared of public speaking, you're not just going to suddenly get on stage in front of 1,000 people. So break down your fears into little segments. If you liked Ambreen's story, please share this with your network. Please subscribe to us across podcast platforms and on YouTube, and we'll see you next week.